Hello crafty friends! In this video I'm going to make a card using the parameters from this week's Craft Roulette. How far will I stretch them this week? Let's find out. This week I started with building a chimney from scraps of a chimney I built months ago that I had left over, and I decided to get them out and use them and build another chimney. Well, the first time was a brick wall, this time's a chimney. I'll get to why I'm building a chimney in a little bit. But I had them in pieces, so I kind of had to put a puzzle together to build this chimney so that it looked somewhat bricked, I guess you could say. The way that I made this, from what I remember, it was a while ago, was I put grit paste through a stencil, brick stencil, and on gray paper, and then dyed it red. I actually don't fully remember how I made it, unfortunately. I have to try it again. I'm glad I had these scraps, though, because they're pretty cool to build a chimney from. Then I just did the top with some more pieces and then trimmed it off when it was dry. The glue dried fairly quickly. And glued the top on. I put an overhang over it to give it sort of like a little shadow so that it looked like it was an overhang. And then the next thing I got to was the parameter for torn paper. I'm going to do a card with some snow because it's going to be a rooftop and it'll be with a chimney. So I used some textured paper that I had in a bin of scraps and just decided to rip them to give them sort of the look of snow piled on a roof, and then glued them down. I actually did it a little differently the second time. I like to lay things out before I glue it and then glue it, like take it apart and then glue it, and I cannot tell you how many times I don't put it back the same way that I had laid it out, but that's okay. It's all a process, right? So now I'm figuring out that I need to add some foam tape to the little top where it doesn't overlap so that it sits flat on the card. This card has quite a bit of texture when I'm done, and it's definitely the kind of card that I would have to hand deliver and not mail. Hey, just a quick reminder, please like and subscribe. Thank you. All right, so I set those pieces aside, and now I'm going to get to adding a sky. And I have this piece of blue scrap paper that I thought was a good color for the sky. It's not like pitch black yet, but it's not bright blue either. And I just spattered some bleed proof white on it with a little bit of water. Then when I set that aside to dry, I got to building my next element for the card, which is a little Santa. I've had this die for quite a while and I've never built it. So there was a few pieces to it that I had to kind of figure out. And I made a mistake along the way. I glued his mustache to his face, and that's right where I figured out where I did it wrong. I have to put his beard on his face and then the mustache over it. But the paper was so thick that I picked for the hair or his beard and stuff that I was able to actually rip it off without too much damage to the paper, and you can't even tell that it happened. So sometimes mistakes, you just blow through them and you figure it out, and nobody will be the wiser, except for all of you watching my video. Shh, don't tell the person I'm giving the card to. So the next parameter I want to talk about is colors. Colors were gummy bears. And since I'm still in quite the Christmas mood, since it's a week before Christmas, not even, I decided to go with the gummy bears that are actually in my house right now, which are Christmas colored. So this die has quite a few pieces for me. I buy them, I think they're adorable, and then I end up shying away from them and I don't actually use them because I think, ugh, there's so many pieces to cut out and glue together. And when they're little like that, I tend to glue them to my fingers instead of the actual die cut. So then I get upset because then I end up ripping the paper because the glue stuck to my fingers, and it goes on and on and on. But I decided it's Craft Roulette and I'm going to challenge myself and I'm going to get it done and hopefully not glue my fingers together. After taking my time and putting on a video and listening to it and just sitting and building the Santa Claus, I can happily report back that it did not glue my fingers together or rip any of the papers. Now it was time for this die cut's little finishing touch, which is the little string of lights that are hanging from his foot, which gets him apparently all tied up, and he is now hanging from the chimney. I decided the chimney would have more lights on it than just the one that got wrapped around his foot. So I die cut a couple more in the green, and I'm just sticking them in random spots on the chimney. The last part is to just assemble the sky now that the spatter is dry, and I trim it down to fit the parameter, which is an A6 card. This is the first time I'm doing that. I had to look it up. Trim off the little pieces of the green lights, but then I decided I was going to fold it over and glue it down, because when I was trying to trim it, it was so thin. It was actually like bending instead of trimming off. So I figured I would just bend it over and hold it down with my little pokey tool, and the glue dried so quickly it was stuck to the back pretty good. And then I just put some glue on my chimney, and after I got it down, I decided that the chimney would have some snow on it as well. So I ripped some more paper and put it in two spots, well, along the bottom, and then two little spots on the chimney. And then I had to get to my last parameter that I haven't done yet, which is rhymes or ends with ack. So I picked sack. But I don't have a sack die cut, but I didn't think it was too hard to draw. So I just drew a shape of a sack and trimmed it out. Now this is also textured paper that I have, which the scissors don't like, except for these Tim Holtz scissors. These do the textured paper. They cut through them beautifully. So I just trimmed it out after I did a little trace, cut out some black like twine to go around the part that, you know, the sack would be tied. So a little black, which also rhymes with ack. So I got it twice. And just because I want to try and keep that mat glue free, I remembered to get my parchment paper. Go me. Glued it down. I added a little ink to it to give a little shadow. Then I glue it down. And there is my sack for the rhymes with ack. The last step is to add some sparkle to the snow with the Winkstella, Stella, is that how you say it? Well, that glitter pen, that one right there. I really like that one. That's my favorite glitter pen. I've tried a few others. That's my favorite. And then I call this card done. Let's see. Let's go over the parameters. I have a A6 size card. I tore some paper. I have a sack because that rhymes with ack. And my colors are Christmas colored gummy bears. Whew, I call that card done. And no stretchy pants in sight. I had my jeans on. Thanks so much for watching. Have a crafty day.